Space, time, journey, sarcasm women. The world of Arknights is mysterious, deep, and downright beautiful. But before we dive into the insane lore of this event, we must first fulfill our duties as a PNG worshipper, throwing our hard-earned cash and sanity straight out the window. What you see before you is an ancient ritual I've been conducting since the Golden Age. The purpose of this ritual is to hurl this high-speed intergalactic sphere towards the altar and let it choose which character will grace me first. Story. I take the Arknights story very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that anytime the writing seems off or the story itself is a boring cesspool of nonsense, I skip it entirely and watch a recap video narrated by a bargain bin AI voice. Lone Trail was not one of those stories. Oh, no. The lore in this event makes Starfield's story look like a Teletubby episode. It's difficult to even start to tell you what happened in this story. After all, over 140,000 words for a gacha event story is insane. Who has time to read all of that in a few days, unless they sacrifice school projects, playing other games, a social life, eating healthy, or doing literally anything healthy? I don't regret a single decision. Welcome to Lone Trail, the harbinger of existential crisis, the magnum opus of tower defense, the tale that makes you wonder if the translators are doing alright, because god damn, there are some banger quotes. Because this story is so vast, instead of giving a long summary and reviewing that, I'd rather give a rundown on each character and their significance to the story, most characters at least. Finally, after long years of waiting, Rosmantis confronts her tormentor, and Ifrit, well, she just kicks some ass. Remember the Ifrit that calls you an idiot and starts blasting? Well, now she's mature to the point where she could conduct underground solo missions, pilot prototype armor suits, and braving herself to stop a cat with PTSD from losing control. Speaking of which, Deathcat also levels up in this story. For one, she saves the doctor, a presumably larger, fully grown man, by carrying him in her arms and running into safety. Keep in mind, she's about as tall as a PlayStation 5. Rosmantis accompanies us on our field trip to confront her past. Loken, a scientific walking dead, is her tormentor, the source of her PTSD. He's working with Kristen, but he feels terrible and really wants to die by the hands of his successful failure, if that makes sense. Rosmantis doesn't want to grant the old man's wishes and forgets about him on purpose. Unfortunately for her, I won't forget him, not after he started singing a meme song to prep his country's soul. Detective Tin Man is my favorite DreamWorks villain, without actually being a villain. He's a revenant, which is a being that exists purely in a spiritual state, and is killed but doesn't die because of some ancient sarcasm ninjutsu. He's one of the heads of the CIA and takes orders directly from the president. Pozyomka 2.0 was this event's rendition of a sexy mama. She looks single, so I hope that she comes to visit Rhodes Island very soon. And speaking of older women, Hulhayak, of whom I will address as Huli, is confirmed to be 42. This lovely serpent lady is hella buff, enough to break free from sarcasm ninjutsu and face a military of power suits all by herself. Being an elder that inherits memories of past generations, Huli becomes highly valuable to the Doctor by taking the memories left behind by Trevor, which we will talk about in a bit. It's nice to know that we are still accepting operator applications from psychopaths as long as they are smoking hot. I agree with this decision. Parvis has always had that old man face that I've wanted to slap the smirk off of, but because he confesses that he doesn't want to become a vegetable, I now sympathize with him. It's too bad that he merges his conscience with the transmitter and effectively unalives himself. After putting on some new clothes gifted by the MILF, Silence tries to stop Parvis from turning into a pseudo-vegetable, but fails. She wants to stop Kristen from accomplishing her goal because she's scared it'll inspire other scientists to do the same, to go beyond and never look back. Saria is more or less in the same boat as Silence. She disapproves of sacrificing in the name of science, no matter how justified or inevitable. That means you, Kristen. Why is she so passionate about this? Turns out, Voivers are innately chaotic, and Saria has spent much of her life fighting the madness inside her. A real pioneer should be clearing the way for humanity, not jumping headfirst into the abyss, never to return. Or in other words, more knowledge equals more responsibility. Or in other words, if I wanted to eat someone's slice of cake in the fridge at my office, I should probably consider their feelings beforehand, or just not eat it at all. Kristen Wright is the founding member of Constellation, where her sacrifices opened up endless possibilities for the human race. Her goal was to become the starting point for progression, to tear open the false sky barrier thing and let the site become a signal to herald the next age. Why is there a barrier? What's out there that the barrier is trying to hide or protect us from? All of these are valid questions that are raised that aren't concretely answered. Why are there twin moons? And are they even moons to begin with? Mumu is a lone elf with the goal of gathering a variety of plants and life forms to see if they can survive outside the barrier. Similar to Kristen, she wants to know if there's a life among the stars that is free from originium, since elves are so sensitive to its effect. She also confesses to us, the Doctor, that she is a stalker, a manipulator, and a complete loner. We, of course, don't find that weird at all because she's cute, and instead, we start dancing with her. Sadly, dancing doesn't do much for her research, and all the plants die after breaching the barrier, save for a few that lasted a little longer than the others. Still, at the end of the story when everyone is falling out of the sky, Mumu saves the crew and Saria with her squirting skills. It comes at a cost to her health, but no problem, the Doctor will rescue any wet woman. Ask Me Anything 10, also known as Kaltzit, journeys with the Doctor to face his past with him. We learn that she's been around for roughly 10,000 years, which is nothing compared to us, and you'll see why, and that she's shackled in her conscience to not tell you anything. Yes, so all those times you wanted answers from her, she couldn't tell you even if she wanted to, because her so-called actual wife, Priestess, sealed her mind. But Kaltzit doesn't seem to mind much because she believes that the Doctor's relearning of the world is more valuable than the unreliable memories we had in the past. Oh boy, here we go. The juiciest part of the story. Forget ethics and science, or sarcasm ninjutsu, the good shit comes from the Doctor's backstory. Let's get this first thing out of the way. The story states we're potentially eons old, which could be a mistranslation since an eon is 1 billion years. Trevor Friston, the AI Super Bowl, claims he's been around in that state for around tens of thousands of years, which doesn't add up, unless I'm missing something. Still, even Kristen mentions that the Doctor's history is older than even the Faranmuts, the gods of Terra, and that we're so old that even history has forgotten us. So how old are we, really? Trevor the Preserver has the saddest story of all. He volunteered as the Preserver to oversee the special life support devices holding the many members of the first civilization. Since his mission was a failure, he wished for Kaltzit and Doctor to pull the cord and end his misery. At least he was kept from being a vegetable. Let's go through this lightning round style. There will be a day when the Black Crown will no longer belong to Amia alone. Further up north, beyond Ursus, is something pretty crazy. Originium is another state of existence, which doesn't tell us much. The president of Columbia is a damn bird, and he called Trevor the Preserver his father. Finally, Trevor tells us that Priestess is the starting point of the madness, and that we, the Doctor, were very close to her, to no one's surprise. The surprise is that madness refers to Originium, so our ex-wife was up to no good. And here we are. The end of a chapter, and the beginning of a new era for Arknights lore. After Huli, Mumu, Silence, and another operator I forgot the name of, join our harem consisting mostly of neurodivergent psychotic killing machines, the next obvious question as a Doctor is to ask, what now? We were already busting our ass trying to save one city, now we gotta worry about chaos gods and terrifying alien planets? Lone Trail was the peak of Arknights storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Doctors, I'm glad I became a doctor. I barely studied in school and I passed by with a 2.3 GPA, but I'll never regret having the opportunity to embark on this journey and spend all the money on PNGs. If you made it this far, thanks. This was easily my longest video, and I'll see you on the next one.